Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, viniendo a todos ustedes. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, viniendo de nosotros. Algunos de tus presentadores de podcast favoritos están aquí. Alongi y JJ es un estudiante de primer año. Este mes es el mes de herencia Hispania, así que para honor estoy tratando de cantar en español. Es un hermoso idioma. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, justo en tus oídos. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey. Oh chico, aquí viene.
Hey guys, welcome back to today's episode. My name is Alonga and I'm here with
Jade.
And today we have two guests and our topic for today is Spanish Heritage Month. And I'm here with two guests. I'm here with Miss Vallejo.
Hello everybody.
And Miss Sprayberry.
Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening.
All right, so first question goes to Miss Vallejo. So tell me like a little bit about what you're doing in class, in your Spanish class, relating to just Spanish in general.
Well, thank you, Alonga, for inviting us today to this podcast. As you know, we have been planning this Spanish Heritage Month, but there is always every year the question if we should use the Spanish Heritage Month or Hispanic Heritage Month. And I was very fortunate to attend to two workshops over the summer. And they introduced this new concept or way of celebrating this Spanish Heritage Month. And with the idea of including really the cultures that make the Latin culture be what it is now, which is the African culture, of course, the Hispanic culture and the indigenous culture. And there is this invitation to call this month instead the Afro-Latin and Hispanic Heritage Month, which I loved the idea because it really represents and portrays what the Latin culture is constructed by. We are very fortunate to have Mrs. Sprayberry here with us, and probably she can share with you a little bit more about that in her experience.
So, for those of you who don't know, again, this is Miss Sprayberry. My dad is African American. He comes from a Haitian kind of Creole background. And then my mom is from Venezuela, and she immigrated here to the US about 40 years ago. We just realized she's lived here in the US for most of her adult life. So there's a lot of different competing cultures that go on in our house. But growing up, it was really fun. We would go to Venezuela every summer and visit my family. And Venezuela is this really beautiful place where there's lots of immigration that's happened. There are several people who immigrated there from different parts of Africa. And so there were a lot of people there who looked like me. And it was kind of the first place that I ever met people who looked like me and had a similar background to me, or had family members of different race or ethnic backgrounds. And so getting to be there every summer and seeing just kind of different shades and colors of people who all were united by the love of their country and the same language has been a huge part of my upbringing and something that really has excited me.
Hey guys, Emily here. Are you interested in science? Are you looking to join a club? Then why not join Science Club, a club all about science. Come to 317 right after school on September 29th for a special session on speed, velocity, and acceleration, presented by science majors from OSU. Any questions? Contact Ms. Bauman. Until then, stay sciencey.
And as I've, grown up and learned that there are so many different countries that type of immigration from Africa has been a large part of who they are and their culture and their country. The Dominican Republic is another example of that. So my family and I have vacationed there a lot. We feel very comfortable in that location, and just something that makes us feel a lot more comfortable knowing that there's lots of different types and shades of people and experiences, especially when it comes to Afro-Latinos. So there's a lot of experience that has just shed in my life and has been really exciting for me.
I could tell. No one would have guessed that you were you had half Hispanic heritage in you. But that was an interesting fact I learned today, and I know a lot of people learned it too. But just tell us a little bit about just Hispanic, like the National Hispanic Heritage Month in general. Like, I remember when I was a freshman, I heard about the celebration. I was like, what are they celebrating? Okay, I know there's a celebration, but what about it? Like, what are you celebrating inside? And I know a lot of freshmen, especially, they would hear also, just like us, they would hear, okay, there's a holiday called National Hispanic Heritage Month, and like, what is it?
Well, we began the celebration on September the 15th because many of the Spanish-speaking countries celebrated their independence on that day. So it was a call for freedom, right? In our Spanish class, we started our unit with comparing the two maps of the African diaspora and the American continent, and then the Hispanic diaspora to the American continent. And we could see that both groups, the indigenous in the continent, in the American continent, and the people who came from Africa, both groups, cultural groups, were kind of oppressed, right? One group working at the plantations and the other group working at the haciendas. So this very special date on September the 15th, in which we celebrate this independence, and that everybody has the right to have an education, get an education. Everybody has the right to own land. Everybody has the right to vote. It's yes, it is very powerful, and that's why we celebrate. We start to celebrate this September the 15th. Also, the representation of the flags. The student council did a very nice bulletin board downstairs in the cafeteria. I hope you can all visit that with all the flags, and hopefully you will find a flag that represents you, your families, or somebody that you know.
Hi guys, Naja here. We hope you are enjoying this special podcast celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. As you can tell already, Hispanic Heritage Month means different things to different people. Here's what my Spanish teacher, Mrs. Terrell, she teaches sophomores, has to say about it.
So, what the Hispanic Heritage Month means for me is a way to visualize a very important part of our community, the Latino community, and how this community has contributed to the development of this country.
So how was it like growing up? I know you said your dad is from Haitian and Creole cultures, but how was it like? Like, I know you said it clashed. How was it like?
So it's an interesting thing. I think when you come from two cultures and you're trying to merge them into one household, right? And so having a biracial family and upbringing, there can tend to be moments of competing, this attitude of competing, like how do we do things different ways? I have several friends or cousins on my mom's side of the family who also have different Latin cultures that are competing. I have cousins their dad is from Venezuela and their mom is from Peru. And so different vocabularies, different ways of doing things. Any country has a different way of doing things. And so for my dad, he's pretty far removed from his Haitian background. Our family from Haiti came here as slaves and during the African slave trade. And so there's a lot of kind of Southern culture that my dad took on. He was raised in Tennessee and then moved to Ohio and met my mom when they were in college. So he has a lot of Southern culture, which goes very well with Latino culture. It's very family oriented. It really helped us to kind of recognize that there is one thing that even though our parents come from two different cultures, our family really values family time and being together and supporting one another. And so my mom would take on certain things to celebrate my dad's culture, and my dad really learned to celebrate my mom's culture by learning Spanish, encouraging us to learn Spanish. I know that there's a large part of our Latino population that's very proud to be Catholic. There's a large Roman Catholic influence in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, so that's how I was raised. And so there's a lot of those things that my parents kind of tried to champion for the other person because they're really important for the other person's culture. And so, having a parent who really supports a cultural excitement, so helping my brother and I get really excited about learning how to speak Spanish and encouraging that, learning it himself, so that we did not feel like we were the only ones in our household who were trying something new. So that was really exciting and encouraging to me to recognize that there's an ability to kind of try new things no matter how old you are. So I think a lot of this my upbringing kind of taught me a lot about resilience and trying new things, because I had two parents that were very unafraid to step outside of their comfort zone to learn somebody else's culture.
Hi, this is Miss Rogers, and I am the 9th grade counselor here at Cristo Rey, Columbus. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. To be honest, this topic can sometimes be very hard to talk about, but it's very important that we do. If you or someone you know is dealing with thoughts of suicide or wanting to harm themselves, please know that you are not alone and there are people who are willing to listen. If you need help, reach out to a trusted adult in your life. The counselors, teachers, administration, and staff at Cristo Rey are here for you and we care. You can also reach out to other caring adults through the 24/7 National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255 or text 4HOPE. That is the number 4 in the word HOPE, HOPE, to 741741. Remember, it's okay not to be okay, but even better to get help. God bless.
So, just in general, again, going back to Spanish Heritage Month. So, for both of you, you have different perspective on Heritage Month because, of course, Miss Rayberry has Hispanic and have Haitian background, Miss Viejo is Hispanic. But what does this Hispanic Heritage month, what does it mean to you personally? Because I know you guys will have different answers for that. What does it mean to you personally?
Mm-hmm. Well, listening to Mrs. Sprayberry, what I like about the Hispanic culture, but it's very similar to what you mentioned, is that it is family oriented, that peace is very important into our lives. For every birthday, anniversary, any celebration, right? We like to be surrounded by family. And so those family gatherings are very important. Of course, our Catholic faith is also very important. At the end of, we are going to conclude the celebration of the Afro-Latin and Hispanic month with a mass, and where everybody can again gather together and pray for each other and as one family. And so I think both those two things are very important for me to celebrate. Mm-hmm. Food, right? And maybe you can talk a little bit about food, music, that is very special. But again, if we wouldn't have this African influence, indigenous influence, Hispanic influence, guitars, drums, instruments in our music are so important, especially those two. We wouldn't have that. So just to look back and appreciate really these things is very important to me during this month.
Y'all ready for this?
Hello, this is Coach Dixon. Are you curious about when games are and where they take place and you have no idea where to look? Arbiter Live is the perfect website for that. It will have all the games of all the sports here at Cristo Rey. And what's really amazing about it, it's also live and it updates. So if a game is canceled or rescheduled, you can check Arbiter Live to see that whatever the information you need is available. So with Arbiter Live, obviously you can see us, but you can see the school we're going to play, the time, and the place. So you can actually plan ahead for an entire season on which games you would like to attend. Thank you.
That's really well said. And I'm really glad you brought up some of my favorite things about celebrating this month. I think just to touch on one way that this kind of merges between my two cultures, there's a lot of African influence in Venezuela in terms of dance or music. There's this traditional dance called the tambores, which is really just an instrument that's used, a specific drum that's used. It's like an Afro beat and different rhythms that are done at different times and at different parties. So whenever my family gathers and it's like a really big celebration, like at my wedding, it was a huge time. There was like a whole hour of just tambores music. And my husband had to learn how to do this dance. But it's a huge, like very African inspired festival type of music. And I know different cultures have like carnaval, which is a large African influence as well. And so there's lots of different things that Hispanic heritage kind of brings together. And so if I were to pack it up and put it in like one phrase, I would say that this month means a lot to me about celebrating diversity and how we can all come together under this idea of like a collectivistic, family-oriented mindset, and that we love to gather, we love to celebrate, but really we gather and we celebrate diversity and like rising above adversity. Some Spanish-speaking countries, I know in Venezuela, there's a lot of adversity economically, politically. I know that other countries are struggling with that as well. That's why people migrate. That's why people have immigrants, is they want choices to rise above adversity. And that's, I think, where we have found a lot of different shades and colors and ethnicities of Latin people, because they are rising above adversity and trying to find a place where they can just celebrate, gather with their family safely and be free. And so this month means to me celebrating freedom, celebrating choices, rising above adversity, and getting excited to kind of meld and mold cultures and to see that there's no one size fits all for Latinos, that there's all different types of Latinos and celebrations of different cultures, and they can all come together under 1 month and celebrate the same choices.
Hi guys, Rebecca here. A moment ago, Mrs. Sprayberry mentioned the importance of tambores music for her family. We at the podcast thought it would be good for you all to take a listen to what that kind of music sounds like. This is Leo Leo Li by Tambor
Leo,
Urbano.
Leo, le, Leo, Leo, la. Leo, 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 la y golpe. Leo, Leo, le, Leo, Leo, la. Leo, 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 la y golpe. Ay, Julián, 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 José, repícame los tambores que me los quiero aprender golpe. Leo, Leo, le, Leo, Leo, la. Leo, 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 la y golpe. Juana Polinaria, la de Choroní, la mandé a buscar y no quiso venir golpe. Leo, Leo,
like hear another culture and like having to make like differences or like similarities, like, oh, you guys do this in your culture, we do it too. Like I really love that when I hear about other people's cultures. I always think it's like very, very special to have like similarities. Like even if you're different, it's like if they do something that you guys do, you just get so excited. Like we do it too. Like we do the same thing. So I really enjoy that. So like, what are your favorite parts about like the celebration in general? Whether it's food, customs, like anything like that?
I would like to go back a little bit on what you just said, that you really enjoy seeing how different cultures do different things and then find these commonalities, right? And I said, you do that in your culture, I do the same thing. Yeah. And I think this is what this month is about. I have heard this on the invitation that we sent out. That's what it says. Let us celebrate our differences, because that's what it makes us unique and special, but also share our commonalities, because that's what makes us one family. And so thank you for mentioning that. I'm so excited about this month because we have so many events coming up, or probably that you will have the chance to see. We have the gallery walk. The art department has been working on different types of arts and artists, and we will be able to see those. And we have, of course, this podcast that I hope everybody has the chance to listen to them. And Mr. Oliver has started the trivia. You listen this podcast. Many of you have already participated in those trivias. If you haven't done it, don't do that, and do a little research on these people. And of course, I'm looking forward for the dish sharing and the folklore costumes.
Chef's kiss to those things.
I'm looking forward to do that.
When I was a kid, it was always my favorite part of Hispanic Heritage Month was always the food and the dish sharing, especially when there was an opportunity to like bring my mom's food in or share things. So Venezuela is very known for their arepas. Colombians will also say that they're known for their arepas. It's not true. They're not the same. They have a different way of making them, and they have a different like kind of cornmeal that they use. So Venezuelan arepas are like very like savory and have a lot of like sweetness on the back end. It's like bread, but better. And so then you can fill them with whatever you want. And so I got to bring those to school and share with people. That filled my lunchbox many days, and just getting to introduce people to something that's so easy.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Icy here, and
Ujwal.
And in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month,
it's time for the Hispanic Heritage Historical Heroes Challenge.
Maybe the first student in your grade level to email Mr. Corgan with a one-sentence description of the impact of the following historical figure.
Okay, here goes. The Hispanic Heritage Historical Hero for today is
Arturo Alfonso Schomburg.
If you are the first student to email Mr. Corrigan with an accurate description, you will earn 3 bonus points in your social studies class or your Spanish class.
I wish you guys all the best and see you next time.
Good luck.
I think that it's great that you guys all gather and everything. Like having to just sit down with other kids and learn about their culture. I think that's amazing because I personally don't know a lot about Spanish culture and Afro-Latina culture and all of that, but I would love to sit down and enjoy with you all just to know. And for other kids, like other kids with Hispanic heritage and they don't know much about themselves, I think this is a great opportunity for them to learn and them to connect with their culture. I really love that about this month.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just wondering, and I don't think I'm the only person that's wondering this question, but how could other students or staff at school contribute to the Spanish Heritage Month celebration?
Well, thank you for asking that. We have printed and sent out the invitation with the agenda of the events that we're having. So I will advise you to look at this agenda, find 2, 3, or all of the things that are offered and participate on those. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher or an administrator or student. you all are invited to participate in any of these events.
And maybe you feel similarly to me as well. I know that I said earlier on this podcast that my dad is pretty far removed from like his Haitian roots, for example. Maybe you're someone who has a Latin background or have someone in your family that you know, but you feel kind of far removed from this culture. This is a great time to explore those things, understand the diversity that is here, come and just investigate, ask lots of questions to lots of different types of people, engage and be willing to try new things. I think that has always kind of been my mindset, is having a willingness to at least try something once before you make a final assessment about it. So come and make an educated assessment, get educated yourself and learn something new from different people.
And that will be the end of our show. Thank you so much for giving in your time and coming to just give us insight about the Spanish culture. And if you enjoy this show, tune in next week. We have a professor from OSU who will give us more information about the Spanish and Afro-Latino culture. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Alonga. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, everyone.
Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, vino a todos ustedes. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, vino de nosotros. Se hablas español, mi disculpa por mi mala pronunciación, estoy aprendiendo, espero que me perdonen. Si no hablas español, presta atención en tu clase de español. Si trabajas duro algún día, entenderás. Cuando llegue ese día, mándame un email. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey, uso en tus oídos. Podcast, el podcast del Cristo Rey, el podcast del Cristo Rey. Nos vemos la semana que viene.
Hey guys, Jalil here. Oh, the show's over? Look, I know I'm late, but I just got some breaking news I just have to share. 2 freshmen, Sophia and Rena, have converted all 6 episodes of the first season of the Cristo Rey podcast into video files. These files are now posted on the Cristo Rey Columbus YouTube channel for your listening pleasure. These early episodes may bring back some memories, since a lot has changed in the podcast over the years. Unfortunately, that theme song is still the same.